What's up, man? We're like 10 days removed from our talks, our get-togethers, our dialogues. To be honest with you, I'm throwing things up at the air trying to see what sticks. And by sticks, I don't mean what garnishes the most views or what gets me the most attention. I mean, what's the most effective? What's the most productive for those who are following along? And I'm constantly seeing that the advanced concepts and principles that we spend time discussing go oftentimes misunderstood because there's a misalignment in the foundation of the learning, which is the basic elementary principles that govern the universe. To be real, it's crazy when you think about it that we live inside of a world that's built so much on distractions through attraction that the very thing that everyone has forgotten is what was embedded inside of us all prior to any physical conception or any physical container. Like your identity was predetermined and preset before you ever were thought of by the two people who came together and partnered in the creation of your physical body. And that's where we get into the basics of the conversation, because it's the very beliefs that we carry, though they are oftentimes twisted and untrue, that plague our lives and cause us to suffer in ways that we never would have suffered had we not been confused and conflicted by our own belief system. Like, we live in a world where people are constantly connecting, constantly communicating, constantly extending fragments of themselves to those they've encountered and placed expectations on to heal broken parts of them that they don't even know how to solve, even though they've carried them for years. But when you ask the average person who they are, what is the answer? If I asked you who you are, what would be the answer? Would you tell me your name that was given to you at birth? Would you tell me your mother and father's name, or anyone who was prevalent in your upbringing and played a significant role or had influence in your habits or your character makeup? Would you tell me about your past? Would you tell me where you've been? Would you tell me what you've been through? Would you tell me about moments that no longer existed but once were, that you overcame clearly because you're standing having a conversation with me or you're talking to me on a telephone? So it's not continuing to happen. So are you going to reach back into the past and tell me about the bad things or the good things or the indifferent things that took place and define yourself by those, and then tell me that that is who you are? Are you your experiences? Are you your circumstances? Are you your fears? Are you your successes? Are you your opinions? Are you your assumptions? Are you your beliefs? What are you? Who are you? Because when we fail to ask the question and we fail to see if we can answer the question within ourselves, to ourselves, like we do everything else, like stop acting like you don't talk to yourself all day. Like you have so many unbeneficial, so many reckless conversations, so many vain imaginations that you pitter and ponder and ping back and forth with yourself all day. But then I ask you to reflect on one thing and you want to act like I'm asking you to do something strange. All I'm saying is if you cannot answer within yourself, to yourself, who you are, you don't know. And if you can't look at your actions and see the clear evidence of who you say you are in your actions and in your emotions and in your day-to-day habitual life, then you are lying to yourself and deceiving yourself, and you are only talking to yourself about who it is that you want to be. I'm not worked up. I'm just saying this is kind of annoying when we get into the delusion that humans carry about themselves. Like, nobody likes a judgmental person. Not because that person carries some heavy, burdensome truth that they lash out and reveal onto others, giving them some eye-opening moment about how bad they are or have been. So people avoid them because their presentation is too strong, or people avoid them because they're too weak to sit under the strength of their truth. That's not why people are not enthused to be involved with judgmental people. People don't like to be involved with judgmental people because judgmental people are always judging people for things that they can't see that they also do as well. People don't like to be around judgmental people because they judge people for the very things that they do blindly, and that's annoying. Almost like your name being called over and over again, to being tapped on the shoulder. Like, The issue is not you seeing me. The issue is you not seeing you. When you are honest with yourself about where you are, what you are, whose you are, and what it is that you are purposed to do, and what it is that you are currently doing in regards to what you are purposed to do, what somebody else think about you is the last thing on your mind. But when you're not moving on your purpose, you're not operating inside of your function, you're not concerned or sure or secure about your identity. So these little attacks on your character, these little assumptions about who you are, what you are, whose you are, and what's going on with you, they really become personal for you because you don't have it set within yourself who you are and what you're doing. You're not upset because then people talk to them other people about you. You're upset because you haven't determined what's true and what's not true within yourself to yourself. So what they said has opened up a new door of chaos and confusion, and your whole life has become dodging the darkness, the chaos, and the confusion that comes from you not knowing what's coming next and what's true about yourself. But you gotta know, we all have to know who we are. And the only way to know who you are is to know who created you, who is your originator, who is the very one who assembled you, who put you together, who purposed you to be here, who decided for you to be here, who designed you. Who did that? Was that your mother? Was that your father? Because if that's the case, then your life began 5 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. But that's an issue because you're created in the image of one who is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, one who has no expiration. And one who has no expiration is one who has no beginning, and one who has no beginning is one who is eternal. And either you're eternal or you're 30. You can't be an eternal being that's 30. Like, that's where a lot of our confusion comes from. We try to commingle and we try to coagulate, if that's a word, I just wanted to say it. Two systems that could never be married, could never be partnered in any type of way because one is absolutely true and factual and the other is illusionary and a absolute lie. I just looked it up too. Coagulate is a word like that comes from the years of being sent to the dictionary for discipline. Appreciate your mama. But anyway, you got to know who you are. Who are you? Who are you is connected to who is your creator. And who is your creator is not the only thing that we must know to know who we are. We must know who created us. We must know where we originated from. We must know the very nature of the being that we were designed as. We must know the function and the purpose of the being that we were designed to be. So who is your creator? Who is your creator? Who's my creator? And are they different people? Are you your body? Am I my body? Or is there a deeper conversation to be had that has absolutely nothing to do with religion, but everything to do with the divine? I'm not superstitious. I'm not hurt, broken, bitter, or angry at some fictitious past that was passed down to control the masses and calm any potential revolt at the idea that the last time that those pigmented people got out of line, they were placed on ships and taken into slavery and beat, abused, captured, and disconnected from their heritage and disconnected from their family and abused and mutilated for over hundreds of years. And the fear of such a thing having happened has created the fear of it happening again, which keeps certain bodies of energy from becoming a collective storm for those in positions of pseudo power and false government to have to deal with. So this ain't the YouTube channel where we're going to talk about like white people being a science project gone wrong and the chosen and the divine not applying to them because they are something of another nature, a kind. For those who do have that position and that belief, I mean, if you feel like you have factual information to present and you can do that without it being something that spills over from your belief system that you want to give to me just because you want it to be true, then by all means, share it with me, let me know. But until then, I'll go with the universal design of all mankind. And the universal design of all mankind says that we have one mutual creator of all things, all places, all people. So when I discover who I am, that automatically helps me understand who you are. We were absolutely tricked in school into thinking that we all were different, we all were separate, we all needed to be handled different, thought of different, talked to different. And come to find out, we all operate from one mind, all joined together collectively, and separation is but an illusion that was pressed upon us in our darkness and our age of not knowing. There's no way for me to be separate from you. You and I were created as one. There's no way for me to get away from you. You and I were created as one. Understand, like, we get caught up in concepts of thinking that somebody is our issue, somebody is our problem, somebody is plaguing our life and they need to be removed. So we spend all of this time trying to disconnect and disinfect our life from this bacteria of a person that we've connected ourselves to at some point out of some type of desire or some type of favor for them, because if not, why in God's name would you ever let them get so close to you in the first place? Because we use words in ways that are not necessarily true. We grow favorable of a person and we say, I like you, when really what we should be saying, honestly, is I approve of everything that you've said thus far. I approve of the things that you are currently doing. But that could change in a sentence. That could change in a breath. Be careful. Walk light. Talk later. That's how we should be talking, but that's nowhere near how we talk. We tell people that everything is fine, everything is all right. I actually like you. I love you. We get really, really strong with our words. We say things that we don't mean, and it causes people to operate inside of a comfort that they shouldn't have, because they don't know that we're monsters on the inside waiting to tear them down at any sign of them dropping the ball of carrying out our every wish and our every demand. Crazy thing is, when I get to talking like this and get to talking with such power on topics like this, it's not because I have somebody in my life that's plaguing my situation, or I have somebody in my life that gives me the ammunition to come out and publicly act as if I'm sharing something to help people, to secretly bash a person that's in private with me that I could have walked in and insulted without having to sit down and create an iMovie and a voiceover and all of the extra. Like, stop playing with me. No, I speak like this and I speak with such power on issues like this because I used to be just like that. I used to be everything that everyone is outside of the knowledge of who they are. When you don't know who you are, you don't know whose you are, you don't know where you're from, you're confused on all of the fundamental issues. You're confused as to what it is that your purpose is on this earth. That's four corners of a foundation: who you are, what you are, where you are, and why you are. If you can't answer those four things about yourself, it's very unlikely that you are operating from a truthful reflection of your true identity. It is very more likely that you have identified yourself by something or someone, and you have modeled your life after that person or that thing. Whether it is in alignment with the truth of you or not, it is what you desire to be true, because it is what you think to be true. And when you think something is true, you don't really care about the truth anymore. You care about being right. So who's your creator? My creator as well. The one and only creator, the one and only sustainer of all living things and all living energies. Where'd you come from? I hope you've thought this one through to think further than your mother's womb, because that's where your physical container was created and derived from. But you have said there's a part of you that has existed long before your physical container came into the picture. You have said that you are a supernatural being. You are a divine being. You are an eternal being, which means that you did not have a birth date. Again, your container can have a date that it arrived, because we never said that our container was eternal. It has actually always been promoted that our container is temporal, which is why you fear death the way you do, because you know that this container is not set for the destination of eternal. And you know you have not taken the time to study and have an awareness of what's on the other side of the darkness to even have a desire for the light. You got a fear of the light because the only thing you know is the darkness. You've grown familiar with the darkness. You've made friends with the darkness, even though the darkness ain't friendly. You spend plenty of time around unpleasurable people, not because you desire to be around them, but because you fear being around new people, and you rather settle for the person that you know, even though you don't enjoy them. But what's crazy is you spend so much time around people that you don't enjoy that you become an unenjoyable person. No one is more intolerable to be around than someone who is convinced that life is attacking them. No one is tougher to be in good company than someone who is fully convinced that life is after them and that there is some type of being or some type of force that is invisibly designed to bring them down. And it's crazy because while I'm talking, you'll act like this don't apply to you. You'll actually take it a step further and act like what I'm saying don't even make sense. Like there's not factual basis to what I'm saying. But if you got up in the morning, went out to crank your car and it wouldn't crank, and you called your friend and they didn't answer the phone, and then your manager demanded that you make it to work or you be fired, you would swear up and down that the devil was after you that morning. You'd be praying to God, asking God to help you understand what it was that you were supposed to see so that you can stop the rain. So when I say no one is more intolerable than somebody who is convinced that there is an invisible force in life that is after them, or an invisible force in life that is casually deciding when to save and help them and when to sit by and watch them suffer, why act like I'm saying something that is not very, very common to the human experience? Why act like so many people, including sometimes you and I, do not apply to this group of people who is intolerable at times because we are convinced that there are invisible forces. There are things that we cannot see that have been designed to tear us down and take us down, and we must fight relentlessly to stay up and stay alive. It's an absolute lie. It's a misconception. It's an absolute display of ignorance of the design of the universe and the design of yourself. Because we covered today the first piece of who you are by looking at where you originate from and who your creator was. So from here we have an understanding, or should have a beginning level understanding, of two of the pillars of which the foundation of truth of self relies on. Like, yeah.